Hello, and we are back with Esperanza Rising. They all crowded into Ornesi and Alfonso's tiny bedroom where Abuelita was resting, her swollen ankle propped up on pillows. Esperanza sat on Abuelita's bed while Mama and the others stood. Alfonso, what are my options? Said Mama. If you don't intend to marry him, Senora, you cannot stay here. He would burn down the servants' quarters next. There will be no income because there are no grapes. You would have to depend on the charity of others, and they would be afraid to help you. You could move to some other part of Mexico, but in poverty. Luis's influence is far-reaching. The room was quiet. Mama looked out the window and tapped her fingers on the wooden sill. Hortensia went to Mama's side and touched her arm. You should know that we have decided to go to the United States. Alfonso's brother has been writing to us about the big farm in California where he works now. He can arrange jobs and a cabin for us too. We are sending the letter tomorrow. Mama turned and looked at Abuelita. With no words spoken, Abuelita nodded. What if Esperanza and I went with you? To the United States, said Mama. Mama, we cannot leave Abuelita, said Esperanza. Abuelita put her hand on Esperanza's. I would come later, when I am stronger. But my friends and my school, we can't just leave, and Papa, what would he think? What should we do, Esperanza? Do you think Papa would want me to marry Tio Luis and let him send you to a school in another city? Mama asked. Esperanza felt confused. Her uncle said he would replace everything as it was. But she could not imagine Mama being married to anyone but Papa. She looked at Mama's face and saw sadness, worry, and pain. Mama would do anything for her, but if Mama married Tio Luis, she knew that everything would not really be as it was. Tio Luis would send her away, and she and Mama wouldn't even be together. No, she whispered. Are you sure that you want to go with us? Said Hortensia. I am sure, said Mama, her voice stronger. But crossing the border is more difficult these days. You have your papers, but ours were lost in the fire, and they forbid anyone to enter without a visa. I will arrange it, said Abuelita. My sister's in the convent. They can discreetly get you duplicates. No one could know about this, Senora, said Alfonso. We would have to all keep it a secret if you come. This would be a great insult to Luis. If he finds out, he will prevent you from leaving the territory. A tiny smile appeared on Mama's tired face. Yes, it would be a great insult to him, wouldn't it? In California, there's only field work, said Miguel. I am stronger than you think, said Mama. We will help each other. Hortensia put her arm around Mama. Abuelita squeezed Esperanza's hand. Do not be afraid to start over. When I was your age, I left Spain with my mother, father, and sisters. A Mexican official had offered my father a job here in Mexico, so we came. We had to take several ships, and the journey lasted months. When we arrived, nothing was as promised. There were many hard times, but life was also exciting. And we had each other. Esperanza, do you remember the story of the phoenix, the lovely young bird that is reborn from its own ashes? Esperanza nodded. Abuelita had read it to her many times from a book of myths. We are like the phoenix, said Abuelita, rising again with a new life ahead of us. When she realized she was crying, Esperanza wiped her eyes with her shawl. Yes, she thought. They could have a home in California, a beautiful home. Alfonso and Hortensia and Miguel could take care of them, and they'd be rid of the uncles, and Abuelita would join them. As soon as she was well, still sniffling and caught up in their affection and strength, Esperanza said, And I could work too. They all looked at her. And for the first time since Papa died, everyone laughed. The next day, Abuelita's sisters came for her in a wagon. The nuns, dressed in their black and white habits, gently lifted Abuelita into the back. They pulled a blanket under her chin, and Esperanza went to her and held her hand. She remembered the night that Alfonso and Miguel brought Papa home in the wagon. How long ago was that? She knew that it had only been a few weeks, but it had seemed like many lifetimes ago. Esperanza tenderly hugged and kissed Abuelita. Minita, we won't be able to communicate. The mail is unpredictable, and I'm sure your uncles will be watching my correspondence. But I will come, of that you can be certain. While you are waiting, finish this for me. She handed Esperanza the bundle of crocheting. Look at the zigzag of the blanket. Mountains and valleys. Right now you are in the bottom of the valley and your problems loom big around you. But soon you will be at the top of a mountain again. After you have lived many mountains and valleys, we will be together. Through her tears, Esperanza said, Please get well. Please come to us. I promise, and you promise to take care of Mama for me. Next it was Mama's turn. Esperanza could not watch. She buried her head in Hortensia's shoulder until she heard the wagon pulling away. Then she went to Mama and put her arms around her. They watched the wagon disappear down the path until it was a speck in the distance. Until even the dust was gone. That's when Esperanza noticed the old trunk with leather straps that the nuns had left. What's in the trunk? She asked. Our papers to travel and clothes from the poor box at the convent. The poor box? Asked Esperanza. People donate them, said Mama, for others who cannot afford to buy their own. Mama, at a time like this must we worry about some poor family who needs clothes? Esperanza asked. Esperanza, said Mama, we have little money and Hortensia, Alfonso, Miguel are no longer our servants. We are indebted to them for our finances and our future. And that trunk of clothes for the poor? Esperanza, that's for us. Senor Rodriguez was the only person they could trust. He came after dark for secret meetings, always carrying a basket of figs for the grieving family to disguise his real reason for visiting. Esperanza fell asleep each night on a blanket on the floor, listening to the adults' hushed voices and mysterious plans, and smelling the plentiful piles of white figs that she knew would never be eaten. At the end of the week, Esperanza was sitting at the small step to Hortensia and Alfonso's cabin when Tio Luis rode up. He remained on his horse and sent Alfonso to bring Mama. In a few moments, Mama walked toward them, drying her hands on her apron. She held her head high and looked beautiful, even dressed in the old clothes from the poor box. Luis, I have considered your proposal, and in the interest of the servants and Esperanza, I will marry you in due time. But you must begin replanting and rebuilding immediately, as the servants need their jobs. Esperanza was quiet and stared at the dirt, hiding the smirk on her face. Tio Luis could not contain his grin. He sat up straighter. I knew you would come to your senses, Ramona. I will announce the engagement at once. Mama nodded, almost bowing. One more thing, she said. We will need a wagon to visit Abuelita. She is at the convent in La Purísima. I must see to her every few weeks. I will send one over this afternoon, said Tio Luis, smiling. A new one. And those clothes, Ramona, they are not fitting for a woman of your stature. And Esperanza, she needs new clothes as well. I will send a dressmaker next week with new fabrics. In the nicest way possible, Esperanza looked up and said, Thank you, Tio Luis. I am happy that you will be taking care of us. Yes, of course, he said, not even glancing at her. Esperanza smiled at him anyway because she knew she would never spend a night in the same house with him, and he would never be her stepfather. She almost wished that she would be able to see his face when he realized that they had escaped. He wouldn't be grinning like a proud rooster then. The night before the dressmaker was scheduled to come, Mama woke Esperanza in the middle of the night, and they left with only what they could carry. Esperanza held a valise filled with clothes, a small package of tamales, and her doll from Papa. She and Mama and Hortensia were wrapped in dark shawls to blend in with the night. They could not take a chance of walking on the road, so Miguel and Alfonso led them through the grape rows, weaving across Papa's land toward the Rodriguez ranch. There was enough moonlight so that they could see the outlines of the twisted, charred trunks, the burned-out vines rolling in parallel lines toward the mountains. It looked as if someone had taken a comb, dipped it in black paint, and gently swirled it across a huge canvas. They reached the fig orchard and separated Papa's land from Senor Rodriguez's. Alfonso, Hortensia, and Miguel walked ahead, but Esperanza held back and pulled in Mama's hand to keep her there for a moment. They turned to look at what used to be El Rancho de las Rosas in the distance. Sadness and anger tangled in Esperanza's stomach as she thought of all that she was leaving. Her friends, her school, her life as it once was, Abuelita and Papa. She felt as though she was leaving him too. As if reading her mind, Mamma said, "Papa's heart will find us wherever we go." Then Mamma took a determined breath and headed toward the sprawling trees. Esperanza followed, but hesitated every few steps, looking back. She hated leaving, but how could she stay? With each stride, Papa's land became smaller and smaller. She hurried after Mamma, knowing that she might never come back to her home again. And her heart filled with venom for Tia Louise. When she turned around one last time, she could see nothing behind her but a trail of splattered figs she had resentfully smashed beneath her feet. And that is the end of our reading for today. If you could answer the discussion post. Thank you.